Right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. What's another episode of Talking That Talk Official Podcast where we are comfortable and comfortable conversation. I am your host, Juice, aka The Ordinary Brother.
All right, what's up, everybody? I go by the name of King Exodus. As always, we appreciate your time. Thank you for tapping in. I'll let you go ahead and kick it off.
All right, y'all. For some of y'all that's known in the hip hop industry, some of y'all that's not really acquainted with it. Scooter died last week on his birthday. There's accounts of misinformation coming around that a young lady had put out on Scooter saying, "Hey, I put in a 911 call because there was a woman being beaten. I see they might be selling drugs over there, doing inappropriate things. I looked outside, somebody was getting domestic violence was happening, and they left the woman outside to be naked." When they further investigated the situation, they found out the woman was never found. There was no traces of a woman being within the facility of the house that was reported. And now, basically, it was a false report. So some people are looking at the situation like this now. Okay, let's say it was a false report. He still ran off in the end, so he had to be guilty of something. But I'm also looking at the situation like this. For a call to be made that was already false, you can look at situations like everything could have been avoided. Some people look at the situation as 50-50, like, hey, it was a wrong report, but maybe he was guilty of something after all. And some people are still looking at it like downright like this is the results of an emotional woman who's scorned, who's looking to take out her anger, her emotions on a man that she's no longer involved with. So I wanted to put it up to the table, like, regardless of the situation, how do how should you necessarily look at it? Was it still the woman's fault ultimately that he died? I mean, he still tried to run away from the cops and did a false report, or do people just still there look at it like, hey, listen, things happen within time, or we don't know what he did to that woman to make her do that?
It don't matter. Um, she's at fault. Easy peasy. The initial action that causes everything else to spiral, that's the root. If she didn't make the call, none of this happens,
Hmm.
regardless to if he ran or not. Um, I've seen situations like that happen, and the police come and beat the guy up, or domestic calls, or police have technically like the right to respond 10 times more aggressive to domestic calls than usual calls. So they just gotta take accountability. That's our fault. And this is like when you was a kid, you was taught not to prank call and call 911. It's
No.
the same thing. And it don't matter what he did to her. That's You don't play around with the police when it comes to involving black men. That's like a huge number.
Mm.
So we see the movies all the time. A woman call the police, and then the police come, beat the guy to death, lock him up, all that. She's no, stop, don't hurt him. You called him. So it's a sad situation, man.
Yeah. Yeah, most definitely. I definitely wanted to address that situation because I always look that if that call was never made, none of this would have ever happened. Bottom line. Not to mention that you're adding the details that you're adding to it. You feel the fire. Like it's the difference between like, hey, there's some people arguing outside. It's like, hey man, I'm watching violence being done in front of me and the woman is naked outside. Like, come on, let's really think about how you're gonna retaliate as an officer, hearing what you're going into. You're gonna go in a little bit amped up. It's the difference between when calls are made that are somewhat calm, not really kind of aggressive. You can approach it differently than hey, actions are being made. I got to go in there on some hey, I got to go diffuse the situation uh, as necessary. But yeah, that's all I got on that situation, man. Do you have a current opinion you want to talk about?
It's more so of an announcement, not really like a feedback type of thing. But today was quote unquote Liberation Day. Donald Trump coined it that to where he made his full announcement on tariffs. So sum it up, we have 180 countries, and for it was reciprocal tariffs. So whoever had tariffs against us, he implemented tariffs against them. Now, what he did was he did a little less than 50% of what they had against us. So if a country had like 50 30 and up, he just put like 15 or 10% tariffs. So you know, a lot of people have mixed emotions about it. He did go back to, I believe, prior to 1913, America did not tax their citizens like with the whole like your income tax and whatnot, because America was ran off tariffs. So he went back to that space and time. So um, a lot of people are saying they agree with tariffs a little bit, even if it's not 100%, because America has. I learned something new today. I believe it was Bill Clinton that opened up America as free trade. So other nations have tariffs against us. We pay and subsidize it, but we didn't have anything to reciprocate that type of energy. So in most of these other countries, their GDP comes from what they send to America. So the American consumer is top notch around the world. So a lot of countries need the America's consumers dollar. So we'll see how that plays out. It's a list of companies: Apple, Hyundai, Honda, uh, TSM, Nvidia. The list goes on, who are agreeing to manufacture in America to offset tariffs. So we're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars, uh, thousands of job opportunities, and that could possibly open up here and be great to the economy. I don't think it's all bad. I don't think everything just goes to shit. It's great for the stock market, perhaps because now it has something to set itself around versus the possibility or the threat of tariffs. So we'll see how it works out, man. Any feedback on that? Hopefully they ain't gonna say I was taking for Trump or the team red.
No, man,
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer in like being able to get something reciprocated. I don't know where people get it to a point where it's okay to take from one side and not receive from the other. I don't. But we can also talk about the fact that the aggressive motion that he once was trying to do, he did die now. I don't think anybody gonna care though. But let's also look how aggressive he was coming out first to be able to like, hey, listen, let me level set it. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, listen, bro, if it's 30% that we're paying for things, and we're telling them, hey, it's only 10% here, we're basically getting it's only 20% that you're paying now. I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, that's all I got right there, man. Any other current event, or we can get right into the motion?
Nah, man, showtime.
All right, y'all. So today's topic it is passing down. What are you inheriting? The reason why I want to bring up this conversation is because a lot of people don't understand like that inheritance comes not just technically to goodwill, faith, money, houses and stuff. Inheritance could come through anything else: dramas, traumas, beefs, anything like that that you can adopt within your mentality as you keep living on into this life. Why is this important? Because there's some things that you need to understand that always being in a neutral position is sometimes the best position that it is taking sides. Because once you take sides, now you're indoctrinated or you adopt to the methods and methodologies and methods or perception. I mean, perception, perception of how things have operated. Right. Last episode, I made a good thing. I said, listen, you have a friend that's part of one organization, you have a friend that a part of that organization, and you're just in the middle. It's better to stay neutral in those situations than it is to join a side because once you join a side, hey, guess what? Now you can't be friends with the other person that's on the opposition. That I feel like that's retarded. I mean, excuse me. I understand everybody moves different, but at the same time, you got to understand what you take on once you join certain things.
Okay, okay. Um, First thing I'll tap into would be mindset. What type of mindset did you inherit from your parents, your family? Um, did you come from a household where there are family goals? Not so much just the individual, but as a collective, does the family have like a mission? Like, you know how you join an organization
Mm-hmm.
or job and it's a mission statement attached to that? So it gives every person that joins a viewpoint of what's the trajectory of this, of you joining this and you playing a role into getting us here. we got to implement these same type of tactics in family to where your last name has value to you and you also add value to that name by having it said so, like mission statement or whatnot. So what does this mean, Marilee? That family has to have direction. I've said it in previous podcasts. I'm working on like a what I would call like a family Bible, and to where it's like okay, cool. It will be a compilation of literature, uh, quotes, things that shape my mentality over a period of time, and things that can shape my children's minds over periods of time. You get this at home. You get this in the house. So, that's an example. Just like you live by a Bible or a Quran, no one told you that you don't have that same power to create something similar, not in the religious aspect, but just something for you to follow and something for your family to follow. Because only you know what's truly applicable to your growth and what's applicable to your family's growth because you share the same DNA. So if I know my parents are quick tempered, um, and I found ways through literature, maybe meditation, maybe changing my diet, if those were my solutions to getting over that inherited anger problem, what I can do is now document what I did to overcome that, and boom, and we pass that down. So we pass down the mindset of how to quote unquote heal things that we inherited that don't belong. And we can do the same thing when you inherit things from your family members that are positive. We can, I'm saying, have ways to add to those attributes as well. So family should have a direction, family should have expectations. And families should also have disciplinary actions. I'm watching these skits right now, and it's two cousins that come from a family, and the grandpa is like the leader. So all the men they meet with grandpa. If one of them get out of line in their personal life, grandpa pulls them in front of the committee of every man, and they had a violations. You either get jumped by your other family members or you throw hands with one of them. They settle their family disputes gang style. For those who don't know, so I ain't saying beat up your family, but we have to have things set into place to where we produce better people into society. The same way you go and join the military, the same way you go and join a religious organization or any type of organization, and you have morals, disciplinary action, standards. We have to have the same thing at home. So you got to.
Definitely. Living up to your family's name or creating a different structure for your family. One thing about passing things down is like coming from a place where you're within your family. Y'all might not have the objectives, the mission statements, certain curriculums, and certain things within your household. Doesn't mean you can't instill that within your family or whatever you created down the line. It's all about understanding what it is that you feel is very important for anybody to understand. Your seed is everything. Like I said, everything starts with a seed before it grows and prospers. Then we're talking about things within the mind, things within the body, plants, anything that you can think of. Now, one of the major things when passing down anything, you have to also look at why are you choosing to pass this down? What is critical about it? What is the known and the unknown about it? Why do you feel like it must be valued? Value is very subjective, but the main values we can always understand. I would say, let me put some out there. I would say financial literacy. I do believe that's something that's valuable and needs to be taught within the household. I believe in structure. Structure needs to be taught in the household. I believe in discipline. Discipline needs to be taught in the household. I believe in being able to, if the if it's time to have that open expression as as a youth, I would say you can articulate your thoughts, cool, but I would also say sometimes that doesn't need to happen at all. And I would say the more freedom you give somebody, is it true freedom, or are you actually putting yourself in a bigger box? I mean, a bigger, not a bigger box, but in a bigger situation that you can't get yourself out. Like people will dig themselves into holes wanting to express themselves, right? There's always, I don't know if you ever had the moments where somebody's talking and they're just running their mouth and you're like, okay, you set it up, bro. You shut up. And they're just still talking. And then they just talk themselves into a situation that they can't get out. They talk themselves out of a job. They talk themselves out of an opportunity. They talk themselves out of so many things because when people are telling them to stop, they haven't learned that the coordination of shutting up, stopping. And actually, in my opinion, that starts with the household too. I know there's some things that I was able to notice that within my household that other households didn't have is knowing when to only speak when you're spoken to. As crazy as that sound is, sometimes that worked a lot for me. Or if I make eye contact, you make eye contact, I speak. But other than that, speaking when spoken to has always been one of my greatest advantages, is because one, a person didn't know who you technically are until you open your mouth. So they can only build up the mystery behind you. So now having mystery on yourself gives you an edge. You can always make things maneuver within your favor, and then you make things maneuver how you want to maneuver. So another thing I'll say before I kind of slow down real quick is outside of financial literacy, you have to be able to understand the adaptive mentality that you're going to have to build for your family. Everything is going to change. What are the methods you're going to put in place so everybody understands what changes? Are you going to have history lessons over the last 5 years? Hey, this is what's happening now. Over the last 10 years, this is what's happening now. You're going to have to be able to adapt and give to your family the adaptive and flexibility. That's one of the main things I urge anybody to ever put in your household is be adaptive and flexible to what the things is going to happen. Some things are going to go up, some things are going to go down, some things are going to be right there for you, then some things are going to be playing against you. What are your next steps?
Um, I'll just make a point off of that. Um, it's funny in the zodiac, I'm a Pisces, but I have the ability to dream, but I share a lot of energy with Virgo rising. So I also have a lot of logic. So the two often don't mix because lot of times I kind of follow more of the logic. What are the mathematics of this? So I have to remind myself when I'm thinking about something, plotting something out, looking in the stocks, doing whatever, I have to remind myself, be like water, be like water, be able to adapt to any situation that arises. The Virgo can plan for changes. That's the perfectionist. Everything got to be a certain way. Can't just throw nothing together. So the Virgo plans, the Pisces adapts. Combine that, now it's like, okay, passing down that mindset is like, okay, prepare for the worst, prepare for the best, but always be able to adapt. Don't be so locked in on your plans because plans are gonna always alter. You know what I'm saying? So you have to be able to envision your life as you see it, but also pay attention to what life is revealing to you. You got to connect the two. So you have some people that live in their own world and it's a positive, and you have some people that are so stuck in their own world that it becomes negative.
Mm.
It's double-edged sword. Live by the gun, die by the gun. So the adaptation has to be passed down because kids today are like really weak-minded. Challenges come, they fold. Uh, I've never heard a generation that's so depressed before. In our generation, we lived through some shit. We lived through a lot, everything. We some 90s, early 2000s, mid 2000 crisis, and like we've been through a lot of shit. So to see generations come in, like we grew up in the cusp of doing everything by hand and transitioning into technology. Other generations are born into technology, so their ability to think and problem solve isn't the same because they don't really have to comprehend as much. When we were young adults, um, if you didn't have a car, shit was rough. Nowadays, with technology, you don't have a car, you kind of straight. You can get everything delivered to you. You got this thing called Uber now and Lyft and all these different things. We did not have that. Your ass was on the bus or you walked or you caught a ride. That was it. You know what I'm saying? So we have to, when raising kids and all that whatnot, or the youth, quote unquote, um, give them a taste of how you grew up doing things hands on. Maybe this can help them adapt. Uh, Practice putting your kids or the youth in your family into challenging situations. Not so much to where it hurts their confidence, but to where it just causes them to think. When I was young, I learned something that was critical. I learned how to play chess at an early age. I learned how to play dominoes at an early age. I learned how to play poker at an early age. Everything doesn't have to be so boring when you're teaching the youth how to think. It could be things that are fun. I learned boxing at an early age. So we just have to put people in positions to where they're forced to think, and then where they can do things more hands-on. I didn't learn planting until I was like older. I was an adult. But like I said on the previous podcast, uh, plants can really teach you a lot of things about life. Not so much about the plants, but if you can't adapt, all your plants gonna die. Everything you grow is gonna die because you don't know how everything grows in certain seasons. Certain plants need certain soils, and some things can be watered so often or a little less often. If I have a plant that's growing heavy on one side, I may have to rotate it to where the other side gets sunlight. It causes attention. I have to be attentive and I have to think and I have to observe if I want that plant to grow. But if I just want to throw the shit out there and do it my way, it's going to die. It's not just as simple as sunlight and water and soil. So once again, that's something that forces me to think and forces me to adapt to nature. What's going on in nature? So life is just like that. So we have to. Um, I like this. One of my friends, he's older. He was like when he was growing up, his parents kept him involved in every activity that they could think of, sports and Boy Scouts and all these different types of things. So now as an adult, uh, mentally he's solid. Mentally he's tough because he's always been in positions to where he was forced to think. So I'll close it off on that level.
Oh man, you could have kept going. What I was gonna say, what you were saying out loud about plants. The only thing went through my mind the whole time was plants are like people. You can't give them the same thing and think they're gonna be the same. Everything has a different attention. Some things, like you said, you can't do everything the same with everybody. Some things require a little bit more attention. Some things require less attention. Some things you have to attend to on different basis multiple times throughout the day. So, like you said, hey, that's the whole thing I got through that. Like plants are like people. So,
Mhm.
but that also says a lot about how you pay attention to nature as well. Because as human beings, they say we're human beings with nature. With nature, we do change, and with nature alone, within seasons, you see people shift. So comparing that all with plants, I'm just like, wow, plants are like people. Hey,
Mhm.
that's a little thing. We can talk about, we can discuss. Maybe a subject itself. Honestly, I was just listening, like, yeah, plants are like people. All right. Another thing I want to talk about is inheriting traumas that you never experienced, dramas that you get addicted to listening to. I had talked about this other times. I said, hey, sometimes I'm for the drama. I just got to laugh. But see, the drama I inherited is just for a quick laugh. I don't really get into it. I just think sometimes stuff is amusing. Call it toxic, call it whatever, call it whatever. But I understand what I'm feeding at the same time. Some of y'all don't understand what y'all digest so much that y'all really believe it's believable, right? Statistics alone. Y'all pay attention to the news so much that hey, everything on the news got to be true when they have informed you that what they have informed you that what they say. If you listen to the news, you're misinformed. If you don't listen to the news, you're uninformed. So a lot of different things you got to pay attention to that you're giving that you got to be careful with what you digest. One of the things I noticed with one of my family members, everything they ever whatever it did, they were paying attention to the news so much. It was, you can't go out there like that. They got people getting robbed. Oh my God, you can't do that with the banks. They're gonna take your money. It's just like, yo, what do you actually take a chance on in life? You know, then they took a chance on in life was Jesus Christ. And I was just like, yo, I gotta still live somehow, some way. Um, Taking on information and not able to filter the process, understanding what's being true, what's not being true, or what's basically somebody's experience and not the overall experience is another thing. One of the biggest things we keep talking about, even within the black community, it could be such as the black man and the black woman, the black man dating outside, the black woman dating outside. It's always statistics and what they get there done. I was like, bottom line, the proof is in the pudding of what the Census Bureaus put out. But the opinion is what other people give out. They feel is more tangible and valuable. So one thing I was talking about is you gotta understand the filtering process of information you are receiving. Understand what it is you're getting yourself into. I got to a point I don't watch the news so much. I watch YouTube. I watch YouTube more than anything. YouTube University. And people be like, "Oh, why don't you just watch Azure News?" I like, listen, some people that I have seen, I built up a credibility for. I can watch a YouTube short or YouTube form content and know I'm gonna get the information I need. And not to mention, you have people who also will mention their sources. That's important. People who mention their sources and where they get their information from. Not the one who mention the sources and they give you like the top line and they never give you the bottom line. The one that part that might counteract what they're saying. You have to be able to also, like I said, filter in, go in, get the information itself. So that's all I got right there.
With that, I'll tie in limited mindset, even if it's in the form of information and how you think. Um, Broaden your horizon, broaden your views, broaden everything about you. Don't just read things that you agree with. Read books that you disagree with. Read from authors and tap into the opposing side to fully understand anything. That's how you learn. That's how you grow. That's how you think. If you only see shit one way, you can only pass down limited amount of information to the people that come behind you. So you don't want your offspring to necessarily think like you. You want to first teach them the ability of how to think. And then they can eventually think for themselves because you're not going to always be around. But you can give them pillars and standards of what the fundamental basis of the family is and how we move and how we operate. Limited mindset. You brought up something earlier that was key about how people, utilize their money. If I have a fear of poverty, right, but I have a desire, not an ambition, but a desire to be rich, that can be a conflict of interest because the fear of poverty can motivate me to strive to become rich and wealthy, but not healing from the poverty experiences or the trauma, the financial trauma, can limit my pursuit of how I go about becoming rich and wealthy. I may be a little slow to invest in something. I may be a little limited about an investment. I may bring negative energy to business opportunities or, things of that nature. Somebody going to apply for a new job, it's higher pay. The first thing somebody tell you is, well, fam, what if that don't work? That's not what the fuck I want to hear when I'm locked in right now. I'm in positive mode. I'm in a flow. I'm trying to build. I don't want to hear what can go left. I can draw up my little whiteboard and do all that myself. You know what I'm saying? But it's a way you look out for people. And some people's like, oh, I'm just looking out for you. Well, no, what you're doing is you're spreading your fear and your trauma with poverty onto everybody else, and you make them second guess their own moves. So now they don't press that button. They don't invest into that stock. They don't invest into that property. They don't take that job. They don't move because you embedded a little bit of fear. So be careful what you pass down. If you have any financial traumas, if you're faster to fuck off money versus invest and save, you may have a problem somewhere. If you have more things around you that has value versus maybe how much you spending towards self-educating yourself or taking care of your health. We adults, we can have grown talk. You got insurance, you got to trust your will straight. Like, what are we doing here? Like, if you got money in the bank and you ain't got money into those accounts and portfolios, you might have some traumas or something you need to, maybe the limited mindset may not be traumatic. Maybe it's just a lack of information and you're not thinking ahead because no one's taught you to think like this. But all the wealthy people move like that. Assets are secure. Investments are secure. If you work in a job, do you tap it? Do you even look at your retirement account? Do you even check your Roth IRA, your TSPs? A lot of people don't know what the fuck that is. They just let the job take care of it. So, like I said, people have a desire to be rich and wealthy, but the actual ambition, that's something different. And I know those words are kind of close, but the ambition, that'll compel you to think outside the box. That'll compel you to learn things that you didn't know. I think I've started looking into stocks as early as maybe like 2018, 2019, perhaps. And I thought I knew some shit. Here we are, 2025. I realized I ain't know shit. Like I had everything. Now I could utilize ChatGPT. I could utilize certain channels on YouTube and, figure out a lot of different things. But I learned that the more you know, the less you know. Limited mindset. It's not just about, even if we talk about spirituality, I'm not the kind of person that could subscribe to one train of thought, even when it comes to spirituality or religion. I don't have nothing against nobody, but I had to step outside the box to learn a little bit of everything just to see what works for me. And going back to that family Bible talk, that's my compilation of spiritual things and religious things that elevated me to who I am and who I'm inspiring to be. I don't get it from one book. I don't get it from one train of thought. When I first started studying stocks, it was EYL and Wall Street Travel. Now I'm in the white media outlets, the CNNs, the Kramer, all these different types of things, because now it's not based on color. Now, and you have to understand when you're growing, the same things that introduce you aren't the same things that will always compel your growth and attention. Sometimes you outgrow certain things.
Talk to them. That's important right there.
And
That's very
yeah,
important right there.
yeah. And if you don't outgrow things that introduced you, it's chances are you have to reevaluate what are you doing because you haven't grown. You know what I'm saying? It's people when they first stepped in the quote unquote consciousness, everything was about black. Well, the more they trained their brains and studied the world, it ain't about race no more.
Nope.
It's not. So I don't have to only learn from black people. The more you travel, you see the world different. The more you just completely expand your mindset, you see everything different. So now you're able to teach your kids different. We all grew up Democrat. Once you step outside that little political box of slavery and you leave that plantation, you start to see, well, it's bigger than that. It's bigger than just one side. Everything is bigger than just one side. So the most successful people are the people that understand, going back to that scenario, be like water. They're able to adapt. What's beneficial now? What can compel me now? There is no loyalty in, those types of things in life when it comes to picking sides. You know what I mean? So I won't go too far into that, but don't teach your kids how to be mental slaves and things like that, like we were taught, like everyone's raised. This is our religion, this is what we eat, this is what we do. No, like your kids may see things different. Like you may give birth to somebody that can't be trapped inside of a box. But it's funny because, and I'm not trying to pick on nobody, but when it comes to negativity, we allow people around us to be free. We don't challenge people too much into that. But when people step outside boxes and they want to implement that energy into being positive, that's when all the fear comes. That's when we got to tell people, yo, be careful. You're doing too much. Um, I'll be transparent. Like I said, I like stocks. Right now, when Trump got into office, stock market crashed, and it was some names that I was invested into, and I took that as opportunity, buying opportunities. I ain't hesitate, pulled the trigger, and said a person very close to me, these the triggers that I'm pulling. Not once did you know what I'm saying, did this person tell me, yo, slow down. Did you do this? Did you do that? Nah. I gave my actions, and I gave the reasons behind the actions, the information. And like shit, yeah, go harder, do that. Those are the kind of people that you need in your corner. You know what I'm saying? So I ain't gonna ramble too long. I'll let you do it.
All right. The only thing I got on put on the table right now. Okay. If you pass anything down right now, what would be some characteristics you pass down? One of mine was adaptability and flexibility. I think the next thing I would pass down to somebody is the consistency or persistence. Those are the things that's going to get you to the next level. You have to be consistent and persistent. One of the movies I just watched yesterday was Ray Kroc. Ray Kroc was a 52-year-old man before he found out about the opportunity about McDonald's. 52. And I remember within the movie, I got to read the book a little bit better. Throughout his own history, basically, he had already went to everybody within his town, within his sector, like, "Hey man, wasn't you trying to sell me something like 10 years ago? Hey man, wasn't you trying to sell me something like 15 years ago?" See, the man stayed persistent no matter what he had, because he always knew whatever he touched, he can basically sell, even if people didn't believe it. Sometimes you have to switch to different industries. Sometimes you got to switch different products. Sometimes you just got to switch who you are as an individual. That don't mean you stop. You still got to get to the end. But we're hit with certain situations where things are failing, people just quit. There's no need to quit in this world. Everything's obtainable. I tell y'all right now, I said before, listen, I was a person that used to brag about my goddamn self-education. Yeah, man, I read these books, I got these mentors, I do this, I do that, blah, 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 blah. I was so high on this self-education route because every time I talked to somebody, it was like, are you sure you don't have a degree? Oh, are you sure you don't have a like I was strong off. That was a high for me. But guess what? Certain skills I didn't have that required me to fucking get an education. Now I'm back in school. It doesn't bother me because I'm actually happy for the fact for myself being back in school because now I got to meet some people in some powerful positions, from seniors to the directors, some people running their own establishments, and I'm just like, damn, if these people are at these high positions and still getting their education, I'd be foolish to tell somebody who, no matter how old they get, not to go back and go get it. The persistence of what the outcome that you're looking for is a required continuation of the actions you need to put in. It's always a way, they say. Now you got school online, you got school in person, you got school part time, you got school full time, you got things where you could get what's the word I'm like, certifications. Like, listen, there's so many different ways to become better in this world. It just requires you to become persistent and consistent. So that would be my other two right there. What about you?
We did the limited mindset, never limit your thinking, never limit your exposure, adapt, be like water. Um, Ever since I was a kid, um, I started my religious spiritual journey early. So I would always pray, um, God, allow me to grow physically, mentally, spiritually. I'd always implemented that in prayer, even to this day. So physical and mental and spiritual growth is key. So let's say on the physical end, the physical and the mental connection alone. Um, train, train your body, uh, because when you train your body, you train your mind. Because certain things that are physical are more mental. You get over the mental hurdles, you perform better physically. And then we have this thing called muscle memory, to where you do so many things, like you said, over a time of repetition. now you act off of instinct. You know, Curry dropped 52 points recently. Again, we got to have that conversation again with Curry and LeBron. But
Yeah.
he did it again. He has more 50-point games than LeBron. But he said, I think it was in the Olympic game, I believe. He was like, when he hit them last couple of shots, everything was off muscle memory to where it was just a flow state. So you do things so many times, thousands of times. We talk about mastery, the 10,000 work hours plus. I would just pass down that the mental, physical, and spiritual connection of life. You train physical to also train the mind, and you also train the mind by information, studying information, um, challenging yourself to experience new things. Um, you know, even if it's just something simple as trying new foods, those are still challenges that you're bringing. Like a lot of people be like, you ask them, hey, like, do you eat this? And they like, nah. Have you tried it? No. So how do you know if you don't like something or not if you haven't tried it? So challenging yourself to new experiences, physical, mental growth, and this compels the spiritual growth because your energy increases when you increase your physical health and your mental health. So you want to grow on all levels. The spiritual health is also what's on the inside. What do we need to heal? What are the things that we inherited? What are the things that we do that are negative? Not negative in the sense of good and bad, but just not as positive towards the growth per se. So I would pass that down. Just always be physical, mentally, and spiritually sharp. This kind of goes to like I've been reading like the Art of War lately, and a lot of the teachings aren't so much physical. It's a lot mental. To where this great warrior just broke down everything that was mental and spiritual about warfare. But the number one thing was being effective without even physically going into combat. That was like the number one key. So I would definitely pass that type of things down. Like I love, like I say, thinking, training, war strategy type of things because you always have opposition in life. And it's not so much in a dramatic scale to where it's like ops trying to kill you and all that shit, but you always have opposition. Sometimes your greatest opposition is yourself. So if you always think a life like that and you train physically, mentally, spiritually, like on some warrior shit, you'll get through anything. So you got it.
All right. Well, I mean, no, that's pretty much it for me on my end on the subject.
All right, so my next 10 points. Now, all right. On a lighter note, one thing that we need to pass down more so is respect. A lot of people are disrespectful nowadays and selfish as hell, not in a good way. Everybody's out for themselves. Um, People don't think in the collective no more. On an average, people don't consider the next person. Some people feel as though they have to know the person in order to consider them. Like if it's a stranger, fuck them. Um, you know, something simple as I grew up in church, and everything was centered around the elders. You see an old person, open the door for them, offer assistance. They putting something in the car, help them out. Speak when spoken to. You know what I'm saying? If you're around adults, or get this for the adults, older adults. You know what I'm saying? Like having boundaries and little pockets of respect can move us forward as a entire like human race right now. So yeah, nobody has respect no more, and this leads to like the working world, customer service. Customer service isn't a thing because it all stems from respect, work ethic, you know. But mainly, I would say respect. Even in the parental world, sometimes when parents demand respect from their children, whether it be physical or just having a strong tone. You know what I'm saying? Talking to them stern, people shun them for that. So it's like we're in a world to where disciplinary actions of any kind, choices, consequences, repercussions, it's just out the window. So no one has no respect. Um, we brought up the episode prior to where, the girl hit the other girl on track with the baton. That's a lack of respect, you and then not apologizing. That's a lack of respect. So there's no accountability. Everything starts with accountability. And then after accountability, then you can have the proper actions to heal the situation. None of that happens if you don't respect the next. If everything's about you, it's no respect out here. So we just have to kill the solo mentality, implement respect again. I'm 33 years old. I could easily curse up a storm, do all the normal shit I do in front of my older family members, but I don't, and I'm 33 years old. My aunts and uncles, if we don't rock on a certain level, I don't do certain things in front of those people because I was raised like that. Nowadays, you got 20-year-olds in the family that's just like, hey, this is who I am. No, that's not how that works. You control things about yourself. You don't hide your character, but you control certain things about yourself that's not respectable at that moment. I could curse like a sailor. If I'm around older family members, let's say past 10 years, no, I ain't cursing like that. You know, even certain times, like when we're talking about how like little girls dress nowadays or teenage girls, like if you're around the men of your family, it's a certain way you dress, especially if they're against certain things. If they're against eyelashes and all this, you don't just say, "Hey, well, that's who she is." No, when you're around your family and those people, you just don't do it. And when you're amongst your free self and you're around your peers, you have peer activity and behavior, and then you have other pockets of behavior. You never want to be this whole authentic version of yourself 24/7. Tell me what you think about that, man, because that's heavy right now. Everybody want to be themselves and keep it real and be authentic 24/7. Just key in on that for me.
Oh, I don't care for it. It doesn't get you anywhere. I just said earlier, knowing when to stop talking. That's a part of part of
Mhm.
knowing how to be yourself and when not to be yourself. Those are also key aspects. A lot of things is being revamped. A lot in this world, so people got to pay attention to it. Words that are being rephrased, something different. So, one of the things I noticed now is soft era. I was like, what is this? So, hey, listen, ladies, you already gonna take that how that is. But soft era, that's something like if you never had an era of that, but you believe now this is the time, this would prove like who has been trained and who has been untrained, who has actually had the femininity and the softness brought out of them instead of believing now you're in this era, now other people need to bring it to you. Like, no, that's not how that works. See, I'm a big believer in who you naturally give off energy wise, a person will maneuver, right? So, for instance, I'll talk to a woman that gives me a certain type of energy. I might think about bringing her flowers on the first day. But then we got to also look at it like this: the same things that we were taught that should be a standard within dating or anything like that, it's not necessarily true. You might bring flowers and the person might be allergic to it. You know what I'm saying? This is the things that we have to be able to look at on multiple different levels when it comes to the interaction. But no, I do not care for anybody who wants to be themselves 24/7. It doesn't matter. You be yourself 24/7 and see how far that gets you. Right? Imagine if everybody spoke their mind in the world, we'd be in chaos. Do you? I don't think people understand. Like, if you ever watched the Simpsons episode, like as they were walking, this place was on fire, this building was collapsing. If we spoke how we wanted to speak at all times, this
Mm,
world would be in chaos.
mm,
You could not stop enough people from being in jail because of disrespect. See, these are lines. See, a lot of things was given in principle and context to keep peace. But once somebody can identify identify as disrespect and you could just openly do it, what's stopping anybody at that point? I You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, you walk down the street, somebody making a bat upside the head. And they'd be like, hey, look, this is the world we live in. There's no structure. We just say what we feel. We do what we want to. Like, no, I don't want to be in a world like that.
Mm.
Rules and regulations is needed. That's why we always talk about structure. And speaking your mind still haven't given you the results you wanted, maybe you shouldn't speak your mind. You gotta look at it. Because your favorite politicians say the right things, but they don't speak their mind. I'm around, I know seniors, directors, and people above at big companies. I literally watch them in public talk a certain way. We get behind closed doors, but man, I hate that fucking shit. But they know what they have to do in public because they can't freely express themselves. This is why there's always a filter translation, right? Let's say like water, right? And I don't know if y'all see the water infiltration system, like how they clean it and purify it. This is why you have to go through certain trainings in public speaking and certain imagery because you know how to filter what you want to say in a nice professional manner. Like intellectually, dominantly breaking you down, some people can't even understand if you're doing that. But I can understand if you call me a bitch ass nigga up front, then it's like, hey, let's get to it. You know, but I'm rambling right now, y'all. But no, you should never speak your mind at all times. I don't know what that's supposed to do for you.
Okay. I got last two places I'm gonna take this. One thing I would pass down that just came to me. If we're talking about children, family, every individual is unique in their own ways. Everybody is special in their own ways. However, you just like everybody else. It's not to be contradictory, but you're just like everybody else because you're human. So if you subject yourself to an environment, if you subject yourself to certain experiences, you're going to become that, no matter how special you are. So a lot of people can flirt with negativity, but they have the confidence that they won't succumb to it because, hey, it's me. I'm stronger than that. Like I could be around that, not indulge, because it's me. I'm mentally strong. You're human. You spend enough time around something, you become that, whether you realize it or not. So now you need people outside of yourself to check you on your transformations. You know what I'm saying? You listen to enough aggressive music, you become aggressive. Ladies, you watch dramatic TV shows on TV, dating shit, reality shit. Guess what? You start to become what you consume. You have the physical diet, the mental diet, spiritual diet. Whatever you consume, that's what you become. You're not stronger than your human ability at all. Everybody got the same ability to adapt to which they consume. So you're not any different because it's you and you special and you know your limits. That ain't how it works. You know how many times people done got just alone, just drunk. I know my limits. I know how much. Yeah, the night didn't end too well. You know what I'm saying? So don't put yourself in environments and situations just because you think you're so different and unique. You definitely don't want to pass that shit down. So, and another thing, relationship advice and relationship energy. Um, Fathers, we have daughters. Um, Fuck the princess shit because our daughters ain't gonna be nobody else's princess, and ain't nobody else gonna treat them like that. It's not saying implement tough love, but let's hold them to accountability and reality the same way we would want our wives or our women to be. That's one. Mothers, you have sons. Same thing. Teach them responsibility and accountability, the same type of responsibility that you would want your man or your husband to have, because the world is not gonna uh, treat them like royalty. The world is not gonna give them chance and chance and time again to get things right in the relationship world or the dating world. So a lot of times we spoil our children with love and we don't teach them skills on how to deal with the opposite sex. But then when they're unmarried and single for the rest of their life, we still think that there's something wrong with everybody else and it's not something wrong with what we did with raising them. So yo, you have whatever you want to attract from the world in the form of the dating world or relationships, you have to give back that same thing to the world. You got to produce that same person. You got to produce that same type of energy. So, yo, if you have negative thing, like we sometimes grew up in a community to where it's like, yo, bitches ain't shit. Don't trust a bitch. The females grow up thinking niggas ain't shit. Don't trust a nigga. So how many broken families does that create? You may have had every intent of like, oh, well, I'm gonna make sure they don't get played, but you didn't heal something within yourself, so you never attracted a positive relationship yourself. I don't care what nobody say. For the fellas, if you're a man and you really doing your healing work, like I said, physical, mental, spiritual, there's no way you haven't found or came across a woman at any period that was, I ain't gonna say the one, but that would have submitted to your program and been a successful companion for you. There's no way. If every relationship was bad and every experience was bad, what does that say about you? Because it's something about you that attracted you to that situation. So you have to peel back layers. So now your advice, if you're successful in relationships, it will change when you giving people quote unquote relationship advice. So we just gotta be careful. If you tell everybody the most negative shit about a possible outcome, 9 times out of 10 it says that you're negative, and 9 times out of 10 they're only going to see negativity as a possibility. So now you're destroying society. So you can't, you know what I'm saying, work on both sides to where you want to see more productive families and a better society and all this, but you destroy it all because you don't do your own healing and fix your own shit, so you can't control what you pass down. So what you got, man? What you got? How we looking?
You saying about princess treatment?
Huh? Yeah,
About
princess. Yeah, like, just, how you go about giving relationship advice to your kids and
oh man,
whether
I
it be
just believe
back
in being honest.
like,
I always been a person like, listen, you want coffee or you want sweetening? Like, how you want to do it? Like, one of my sales techniques, I tell you right now. I'm always looking at people's personality types, right? Coffee, right? Coffee means I can give it to you straight. Some people can drink coffee straight. Not everybody can drink coffee straight. Sometimes people need coffee and sugar. Hey, listen, I like it straight, but I need something sweet at the same time. Like, can you sweeten the deal for me? Then you need coffee and creamer. Some people need to know the brighter side of things. Like, hey, listen, I understand this is coffee, and you're giving me something sweet, but what is the overall reason why you want me to do something, right? Like, basically, why should I be with your company out of all companies? Whatever, the brighter side. So understanding that was as kids are getting older, is understanding, hey, I'm sorry, you're gonna have to give some people coffee more than you give them anything else. The brighter side of having all three is them understanding their awareness. See, what you teach your child, do y'all not think other kids teach each other from what they learn from their other parents? What if your child is the one who's redirecting their family, their friends on how to actively move better? On how to, hey, listen, that's not cool. We shouldn't be doing all that. You should want a child like that that has the positive influence and not the negative influence. Let's think about it. Like some of the kids around y'all, they friends gonna expose them to the sex life, the drug life, all that before anything, even if you try to prevent that. But at the same time, we always talk about the exposure of the environment, the exposure to information, the exposure of what you're viewing is also a teller within itself. I remember a couple of times we was talking about slowly playing certain music around our kids. They're already exposed to the, hey, listen, pop this, twerk this, sell this, get this. They under 10 years old. I'm like, how y'all listening to this already? So then in your head, you still might be looking at it like, listen, you're already exposed to this. We might as well go ahead and continue. No. That says a lot about you because somebody got exposed to it doesn't mean you don't pull them back like, hey, whatever you do over there don't mean you do over here. But
Mm.
most people feel like once you're already exposed, fuck it, let's go ahead and continue down the line. What can I do now? I can't hide that from them. Like they're already used to it. Listen, there's so much you can do as an individual. You render your own self powerless thinking you can. And that's what that says a lot about who you are as a man. Or I say that as a woman. So princess treatment, no, I don't believe in it 100%, be honest with you. I always say like, listen, you expect a certain treatment that I can tell you're not accustomed to. And me saying that is because anytime an individual has the chance to meet a new individual, you can also give them, you can tell them things up front what you're used to, and you're never used to it. But see, a real person can sniff out what you're actually accustomed to by the way you maneuver, the way you talk, the way, your past life, the experience, the people we see you around. It's a storyteller. There's always a person we have within our friendships we call a fairy tale. Meaning that's a person that lives in their own world that's not even their reality. They get on the phone. I don't know if y'all ever heard people on the phone like, yes, we're going to be going to Florida for a couple of weeks and then me and my homegirls going to, y'all not even leaving Houston. But to sell yourself to somebody else, you're giving them a customization of what you're used to. So you're telling somebody, hey, I need you to adapt to what I got going on. You're trying to enrich yourself and make your value higher than what it is what you truly are at that certain stage. Now, are there some people who's accustomed to a certain lifestyle? Yeah, it's cool, whatever. But the reality is, everybody's not going to be accustomed to it. I always say, listen, me being raised as a gentleman and watching a woman move as a lady, because we have had trainings, it's harmonization. Because whatever I do, I know she'll compliment it. It's reciprocity. It's so y'all have people in one way direction so much. She's a princess. Okay, cool. How's she gonna treat the prince? It's something that I always say this. It's weird that women want princess treatment as grown women when you should be graduating to a queen-like stage. That's a whole difference. You know what I'm saying? Unless the queen is still present within, I don't know that guy's house. So I mean, I don't know how that's gonna work out, but if you catch my drift, there's a graduation stage you should have mentally. Because even a princess is not, a queen has to actually do something versus a princess. But a princess should always be trying to prove her worth before she graduates to the crown of being a queen. Everybody that was a prince didn't become a king. I don't know if y'all know that in history. Not everybody actually graduated to the next stage. They actually failed. They didn't get those titles. You have to work for the things that you're receiving. This is why they say, hey, listen, sometimes titles are useless, especially if you don't have no work behind it, or y'all don't understand your titles. So no, princess treatment, no. I believe you're treating my daughter with respect. Understand that educator. She's going down certain paths and what she's listening to. I talked about it before on this podcast. Hey, listen, I was a person translating the information that was going on presently in front of a younger adult. She was like 17. Like when people was using like words like homie, lover, friends, I was like, that's friends with benefits, just to let you know. I'm giving her coffee as they're trying to speak metaphorically. So she understands why she's getting receiving this information, how she should really process it. Just like I said, hey, listen, everybody who's friends with benefits do not graduate to the next stage. Some men look at it like strictly no, this is what it is. And some people might be like, hey, listen, we rocking so long, let's try to make something happen. But you can't always give princess treatments to something that's going reality based and nothing's gonna change.
Alrighty. One more thing, man. One more thing. One more thing. One more thing. Uh, get ready to wrap it up.
Yeah, you're right. I got 3%, man. Wrap it up.
One thing I notice about people in their relationships with like the higher power and like prayer, most people always pray for what they want. When and on the opposite, you should more so pray for what you're grateful for.
Mm-hmm.
Gratitude opens more doors than anything. So going back to people being selfish, if you have a selfish relationship with your creator or your higher power or higher source, what does that mean? Well, you're going to be selfish with everybody else. If you only in a relationship with God and you only pray and perform certain actions because you want something out of it, that's not an honest, genuine connection or relationship or belief system.
Mm.
So passing down teachings to our children, uh, teach them gratitude, teach them the power of understanding things, and let that be the connection to the higher power, the higher source, and it takes them further to where, like, you go to church, the black church, and Lord, and bless this person, and touch this, and heal this person, and a prayer could be 30 minutes to an hour. We just talking about prayer. We ain't talking about the sermon, just prayer. That's problematic because why are you asking God for that much stuff? Like, prayer is quick and short. Sometimes that's why in certain religions the prayer is already outlined as a script. You just read this prayer. You don't put your flavor on it. You don't spice it up. You don't like if you have a relationship with your highest source and it's all about what you can get, you ain't gonna treat your wife, your husband, your kids, and your family right because that number one relationship ain't right. What are you doing for God? What are you doing for the higher source? What are you doing for nature? What are you doing for your community? What are you doing for your family? What are you doing for your job besides collecting a paycheck? That's how you want to move and think and operate. Everybody want to be rich, but let's just say today you made $50 extra. God, I'm so happy and grateful I got $50 today because it's extra. You didn't have to receive extra. So before you can be a successful millionaire with multiple streams of income, you first have to show gratitude for everything that you accumulate. That's what you pass down in the mindset. People have limited mindsets towards abundance because they ain't thankful for nothing. So that'd be my close off, man. Close off, man. You know? You
Oh
done?
man, I was about to say, listen, my favorite song from Church is Grateful. Man, every time I hear that song, I get teary eyed. I don't know what it is about that song that just gets that does something to my body, man. Just be thankful for everything that has came my way and things that are coming my way. You know what I'm saying? It's just says a lot about who you are. A grateful individual.
Yep.
It's a selfless individual. Mm.
All right, man. Talking that Talk Official Podcast. Another classic episode. If the episode helps you, if it does anything for you, motivates you, put any type of ambition behind you to be greater, give us a comment, give us a share, give us a like. You know, we do this not just for ourselves, but for the viewership. So up top, we have No Ordinary Brother. I go by the name of King Exodus. Make sure you tap in for more content, episodes, subscribe to the YouTube, follow us on IG. We up.
All right. Peace.